You are listening to Trophy Horse with your hosts, Tricky Mick, Alex, I Yield to No One,
Steve,
and Troy.
Hello, everybody, and welcome to Trophy Wars. This is episode 395. I'm your platinum trophy popping motherfucking
earmuffs
on a blitz. I was waiting for my daughter to yell that.
Okay.
Oh, wait, here she is. Go ahead, scold me.
Oh, come on!
No, earmuffs.
Tricky Mick. This is episode 395. Also with me, he brings the awesome, but he's not as awesome as me. This last week, I yield to no one.
See, I took a week off and I still didn't miss an episode. That's how awesome I am.
Yeah, well, I'll explain that in a second. We don't have Alex this week, but we do have CJ.
Hey guys, hope everyone is well. Resident spam hunter present and accounted for.
I don't know. Just without knowing any details, did I pop more platinums than you in the last week?
You said you popped 6 in 1 hour, so that's some sort of record. I've never done that, so I'm going to say yes. I'm looking forward to you telling me what you've been playing. I've got my notebook ready.
I don't know if I can reveal those secrets because I'm in a secret race with Daryl right now. And if I reveal my secrets, then he's going to go pop them. And then every trick that I use to, almost catch up to him, he's going to go. And then it's going to be the distance is going to be further. I can't reveal my secrets, but I'll tell you off the air.
Yes, perfect. I just had one question, though. Do you think you've spent longer trying to get the Vita trick to work than platting these games?
Absolutely. Okay. Well, let's do our updated trophy count. I am level 41. Yes, I'm a new level. I have 10,260 trophies, and officially I have 132 platinums, but I have 4 more that I can't sync at this moment.
Are you purposely trying to save those?
No, I'm purposely trying to sync them, and I cannot do it.
Oh, okay. Different region?
Yes, it's a different region. Let's go through the trophies, and I'll tell you my troubles, because CJ already knows what I'm trying to do. You're never going to try to do this.
No,
so.
I'm not going to try to do that. I've got a couple of games on my Vita that I need to play, and that's probably about it.
All right, Alex is level 31, total trophies of 6,902 with 102 platinums and 101 games. Yield?
Level 28, trophy count of 5801, and a platinum count of 90.
Steve is level 15, total trophies of 2,169 with 11 platinums. Sid is level 38, total trophies of 8,933 with 164 platinums. Sid, I'm coming for you next, so just so you know. I know you're hearing this. Coming for you next. CJ.
So I'm a level 126 with a total trophy count of 30,624 and, wow, 715 platinums this week.
Wait. How are you a level 126?
I'm taking it off our friendly trophy hunting website thing.
That don't count.
Oh, okay. Well, then I've just lost 26 levels. Damn. I'm back to level 100.
Okay, so Yield.
Yes.
Okay. So what you do with your Vita?
Well, are you sure you want to reveal this secret?
Oh, no. This is wide open on the internet.
Oh, okay. Everybody knows about it, except for me.
Yeah. Well, anybody that's trying to get Vita platinums for other reasons.
Okay.
Because you can't put multiple
users on the same Vita.
Right. What you have to do is you have to format your Vita, and then start it up, and then log into your EU account.
Okay.
You download all those games that you want to platinum, and then you turn the Wi-Fi off because you don't want those trophies to sync.
Okay.
Okay, so then you go through all your games, and you get all your platinums.
All right.
Now comes the tough part. You have to go to a website in which you have to put in an email that they're going to send you an email, and then you have to log into that email on your Vita. What it's going to do is when you open up that email, there's going to be an attachment. You have to hit the attachment, and then at the same time hit the PlayStation button, turn the Wi-Fi off, and turn the Wi-Fi back on as fast as you can. And it has to be done in like this particular half-second moment, which is then going to allow you to log back in, but then you log into your main account. You do some other things, and then you have to do it again to log back into your EU account. You have to do that same trick to log back into your EU account. Then you go to your trophies, and for some reason, when you sync your trophies, they sync onto your main account, not your EU account.
Yeah, that's just way too much work.
Well, it's all very simple, except for that half second that you have to get this right. And I've done it twice already. But it's hard as hell to do. So what I did was I just logged into my EU account, downloaded all the games, platinumed all those games, and now they're just sitting on the Vita, and I can't sync them because I can't get that trick to work. And not only I can't get it to work once, not to mention I have to do it twice.
Good luck, sir.
It does get easier. You'll get there. The best thing about that, Yield, that he didn't tell you, though, is that little attachment. It actually comes from the dark web. So this is about as dodgy as you can get, this trick. So I think you're doing... this is next level trophy hunting.
Wow.
But, I mean, it's not cheating.
No,
it's legit.
Yeah. No. It sounds legit.
No, it is legit, because there's no different... The only thing that you could call fugazi with the whole process is I'm using digital games, where if I, imported the same exact game, put it into my system, I wouldn't have to do all those tricks. But I'm not going to import a hard copy of the game. I could just digitally download it.
That's true, yeah. And it is great too, because there's a lot of Vita games that have only come out in America that we don't have on our store. So I'm thinking of like that Taco Master. That was awesome. That I would have never been able to play without that trick. So there's some good things to it.
Yeah. So it's a very simple process, but just that freaking half-second timing I can't do.
You'll get it.
I tried doing it for over an hour the other day.
I have faith in you. You'll get it.
And then CJ, I almost had like a mini heart attack because I was trying to do it and I got so frustrated. I just put the Vita down and forgot to turn the Wi-Fi off and came back like 7 hours later. And as I picked up the Vita, it started saying syncing. And I quickly turned the Wi-Fi off.
You got it in time. Nice.
I got it just in time. Because I was thinking I'm going to have to go back and platinum these 4 games again.
Well, you're taking a slight risk I know you don't really care, but you're taking a slight risk by doing all those games in case something does happen. A lot of us are, like Little Insight, a lot of us that are doing a lot, we actually play one game at a time and upload each game individually, but until you master the trick, that might not be a good move.
Yeah, well, I mean, and something happened to the Vita right now, knock on wood.
Yeah.
I'd lose those 4 platinums.
Well, that's only 20 minutes anyway.
Yeah, it's true. But I noticed that you can't use. It's harder to do the trick on a Vita TV, so I'm actually using my Vita.
Yeah.
So.
Good move.
And I just popped another platinum, like literally right before we started recording.
Well, yeah,
I'm not recording.
He delayed
until I get
recording until he got the platinum.
My 132nd platinum.
Jeez.
All right, so let's get into what we're playing. I'm trying to bring up my list. Sorry. Why don't you start off with what we're playing? Because I don't know if I want to reveal what I've been playing.
So, as I was talking with Tricky before we got recording, I've been playing some Days Gone. Been working on that. Playing some Rocket League. They've got their Radical Summer event going on. Which reminds me, I need to, before Monday, so tonight, I need to log back into Rocket League and pick up my Ghostbuster stuff. And then, I've also been playing a lot of World of Warships, which the German fleet comes Monday.
All right.
Yield, can I ask you about Days Gone, just briefly?
All right, sure, go ahead.
Yeah, so I want to play this game at some point. I started it when it came out, but I know there's been a lot of patches and stuff now. Is it a good time to start now? Like, it's fairly stable and it's good? Or
I've run into a couple of more hiccups where, like, the game's froze on me. I mean, like, straight up froze.
Yeah.
And then I've waited, I think the most I've waited is maybe a minute. And then it unfreezes and it keeps on going. That's the biggest glitch that I've run into. until that point, the biggest glitch I had run into would be you would come up and some birds would be flying, like some crows would be flying, and you would come up and they would be flapping their wings and they would just be not going anywhere. So you walk over to them, because you see them in distance, and they're just flapping away and they're not going anywhere. And you walk over to them, and about when you get there, all of a sudden they like unfreeze and off they go. And it's like, oh, okay. No, it's nothing. I haven't run across anything that's been game-breaking yet. It's just kind of annoying to the sense of a game that was that advertised and pushed out there has got these little glitches in them.
Okay.
Did they fix the save game bug yet?
I haven't had a save game bug.
Oh, you said it happened to you once.
What's that? Oh, when you save it and it shuts the system off?
Yeah, it turns your system completely off.
They must have, because after we talked about that, I have not had that happen yet.
Yeah, I got the platinum in that season.
I know. Yeah, it's a long platinum, isn't it? Yeah.
No, it's not really long platinum, but I went the extra mile because after I got the platinum, I went and killed every horde.
Yeah, so you extended it.
Just so I can say I got 100%.
Well,
all right,
on the list.
CJ.
Yes.
What are you playing, sir?
Yeah. Well, what have I been failing to play, as I'm always told? So I'm going to leave the spam stuff because I think you're going to attack it anyway. So what have I been playing?
Not me.
So I've been playing some of this Samurai Showdown. That came out a couple of days ago, fighting game. So I'm not a good fighting game player at all, but I love having a go. I love to button mash wherever possible. And this one's good. Like it's like a I'm trying. I mean, it's not like your Mortal Kombat or anything. It's a lot lower budget game. Even though I think it's full price. It's a really slow fighting game. So the hits and the strikes take massive damage. So it's good. You don't need to be so quick, but you need to be very strategic. If you make like 2 mistakes online, you're dead pretty much straight away. So it's good. There's a story mode to it, which is, it's like typical Japanese. I mean, it is in Japanese voiced. Typical Japanese sort of thing. It's not amazing. And there's a sort of 16 different characters, but really no story variation between them. But that being aside, the gameplay is actually really fun. So, I don't know, I would throw that one out there for listeners if they're interested in fighting games, particularly if like things like Mortal Kombat and stuff come at you really quickly. This comes at you much slower. And then one that maybe Yield would like, I played some of this Monster Jam Steel Titans. Are you a Monster Jam fan, Yield?
I've considered playing that game, because when I was a kid, I liked monster trucks.
Yeah. It's a great series. You haven't played any of them? Or
no, I haven't. No,
I would. I mean, the older ones are better. The PS3 one. There was a PS4 one last year, which is, I mean, it's a really easy plat, but not so great. But this one's okay. It's a little bit tougher plat this time around. It's a little bit repetitive or whatever, but it's just fun. Fun sort of monster truck racing, I suppose. And unfortunately, it has collectibles. I never understand why we need collectibles in a racing game. But anyway, they're there. I don't think they're too obtuse, I should say. But, it would have been better if they weren't there. And then, look, one more, just because this game none of you will know about, I'm sure, or perhaps not your listeners either, is Farm Together, which is a lovely farming, sort of arcadey, cartoony farming simulator style game where you just sort of, it's really peaceful and relaxed and chilled, and you can have a couple of glasses of wine, and get into this, and it doesn't affect your performance in any way. So I like it, and it's particularly good to run on a second system if you're playing something else and you want to drop in and out. So yeah, look, there's. I
just bought that.
Yeah, did you? It's fun. It's a long plat.
I'm buying it right now.
Yeah, yeah. It's a long plat, but it's really fun. And it runs on a real time thing. So like say your crops take a day to grow or 2 days to grow, you can come back in the day or 2 days. You can't speed the time up, so it's relaxed. It's nice, yeah. And 90%.
Oh, so you can't manipulate the console clock?
No, it's all online. So no, it's all locked. I believe there. But the cool thing is you can actually open your farm to other people online, so they can come in and do stuff for you while you're not there. So it's good, and you can do the same. There's a couple of trophies for that as well. So it's fun, very chilled. And I think you're looking at like 60 to 70 hours of actual play time in that, though. So there's a few tricks with the turbo controller and whatnot as well. Maybe I can let you know about if you decide you want to play it later on. What have you been playing?
All right. All right. I decided I'm going to reveal what I'm playing because I'm not hiding the platinums on my list. So
I was gonna say, if you're not hiding on the list, you can just look there.
yeah. So just in the last day, I've gotten 4 platinums.
Last 24 hours.
Yes. I got Energy Cycle Edge, which I'm a little disappointed because it shares a list between the PS4 and the Vita, so I can't get that twice. Me, the Goddess, and Sweet Mama D, we all sat down together. We got the platinum and access denied. And then the 2 platinums I got within the last hour is Daggerwood on the PS4 and the Vita. I've also gotten Tetris Escape. I've gotten all 6 platinums in Super Weekend mode. That's for, the PS4, the Vita. I got those 2 stacks, or 3 stacks. I got the Australia one, the European one, and the American one. And I've also been playing Devious Dungeon. Got the platinum in Conan Exiles. Got the platinum in One Word and Word Sudoku. And I'm working on the platinum because I feel like I'm chopping just a little too much yield.
Okay.
Like I feel like I've really gone
You're
down
actually
the path.
feeling bad. This might be a step in the right direction for you.
No.
No,
No.
I'm only feeling bad because I was holding back on these, and then I warned Daryl, you cannot release the Kraken. And he kept needling, so he has unleashed the Kraken, so I'm going to have 160 platinums by August. And I'm only saying, I'm actually probably, I could probably say I'll have 160 by July 4th, which is in 5 days, by the way.
5 days. Wow, that's 18 platinums?
Yeah.
Man.
That's alarming.
I could really
That's,
jump out.
Wow.
That's really making me feel bad.
I'm
because
disgusted in that. What are you doing? This is disgraceful.
I'm way
Imagine
off
what
my
Alex would
pace.
say about this. He's probably necking himself now somewhere. He just can't believe this. This is shocking.
Okay. I'm gonna go on to PSN profiles real quick. But the legit platinum that I'm going after, Yield.
Legit, all right.
I think you'll give me props for this.
Okay.
I'm going for the platinum in Uncharted 4.
You know what? I need to finish that up. That speed run. I hate speed runs. I hate speed runs. But I got that out of the way. So now I got to do crushing, and I got some cleanup to do. And then
I'm doing crushing now, and then I'm gonna go back and do my speed run.
I wanted to get speed run out of the way because I know how much I hate speed runs. So I got that out of the way. And then I got to do crushing, and then just find trophies, conversations, vantage points, just the cleanup collectible bullcrap.
I tell you what, you want to pace yourself on that game. I see you've been at it for 3 years and 1 month. You just want to,
right?
just take it easy.
I'm taking it easy. Well, it just goes to show you how much that game did not captivate me like 2 was.
Yeah.
Like 2, as soon as I put it down, I'm like, I gotta play this again.
Yeah.
4,
all right, so
4, as much as I liked it, it just didn't grip me that way. I played it and I'm like, you know what? I'm gonna play something else. I'll come back to it.
Yeah.
all right, so CJ kind of alluded to it earlier, where I said I got 6 platinums in an hour. So Yield, I'm gonna throw a little mini quiz out for you here, real quick.
All right, I'm gonna fail.
Now, all 6 platinums I got in the hour were in the exact same game.
Okay.
I literally just went boom, 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 boom.
Okay.
All right, so the first time that I got the platinum in Super Weekend mode, how long do you think it took me?
Well, if you did it in an hour, you probably only took you about maybe 5 minutes.
Okay, the first platinum I popped took me 11 minutes and 20 seconds.
Oh, wow.
By the time I got to the 6th one, how long do you think it took me to get the platinum?
5 minutes.
2 minutes and 14 seconds.
Well, that's a really easy platinum then. How many trophies are associated with this platinum?
There are 11 gold in each one.
Oh, well, that would... Okay.
So now you're starting to see how I got to 700 plats, aren't you? I mean, you can do it in an afternoon. Like, what are you doing today? Just clear your afternoon. You're up there.
Yeah.
That's what I'm saying. That's why I said I could have 160 by the 4th of July.
Yeah. So look, how did you find Super Weekend Mode? How did you find the 2 minutes? Was it a captivating gameplay?
No, not at all.
Was it just hitting
but
one,
you know,
was it hitting one button over and over again?
No, because actually, you know what?
3 buttons, okay.
Okay, the games that I'm playing right now, like Super Weekend Mode, Devious Dungeons 2, those games, while they are fast platinums, they're actually quality games. The Devious Dungeon is a good platformer. Now, Super Weekend Mode, what it basically is, it's a very simple game where you have, remember Arkanoid Yield?
Sounds familiar.
It's the game where you got to keep the ball bouncing up and down, and you got to hit the blocks, like Brick Breaker.
Okay, from Atari.
Okay, so what Super Weekend Mode is you have 2 of those platforms, but instead of bouncing a ball, you literally have lasers that are just shooting up. Okay, so you control the left one with L1, you control the right one with R1, and there's only 2 spots you can go to, so you have to bounce back and forth. While you're playing, you're shooting, you're trying to kill a boss, but as you're trying to shoot the boss, there are hearts that come down, and you have to move your paddle to catch the heart. Otherwise, the board gets smaller and smaller and smaller. The only way you die is if you completely mess up, or you get hit by a skull, or you get hit by one of the bunny rabbits. And the only way you take kill the bunny rabbits is you have to hit it from the side with the thing. So say if they're coming down the middle, you have to time it so your paddles are on the outside, come to the inside, and kill the bunny before they hit the bottom. And you have to hit the boss 300 times. I'm not really explaining it in a way that really makes you understand it, but it's actually a good game. But once you understand what you're doing, you can plat that game in under 3 minutes.
So are you going to do this Attack of the Toy Tanks?
You know, I saw you and Daryl talking about that. I've never even heard of the game, nor did I know the games that he posted the picture of because when I said he got 2 more platinums. But I did download those 2 games, by the way, all 3 stacks. So perfect. I will be getting that too. I know I'm coming for Daryl because I'm tired of him talking shit.
Wait, he's playing some long games. You'll get it.
Yeah, well, he's not playing any games.
Perfect.
So, all right. So let's get into our topics.
Please.
You guys an Ape Escape fan?
No.
Not particularly.
Okay, well, we could have kind of skipped this then. But there may be a new Ape Escape game coming on the way.
Awesome! There,
yeah.
Does that make up for it?
Yeah, it's been 20 years since we've had an Ape Escape game. Okay.
Yeah.
Moving on. I liked Ape Escape because it was like one of the first games I played. But I don't know. It's been 20 years since I played it. All right. Marvel's Avengers is Crystal Dynamics' largest game in history. 5 studios are working on the game.
Yes.
In an interview with GameIndustry.biz, studio head at Crystal Dynamics, Scott Amos, shared how much they've expanded for Marvel's Avengers following the Tomb Raider trilogy. Quote, from our side, it's the biggest thing we've ever done, Amos said. Now that we have 5 studios working together to pull this off, Crystal Dynamics at Redwood Shores, we've opened up the new studio in Bellevue. I don't know if you guys know, but Bellevue is the mental hospital here in New York.
Oh.
Called Crystal Northwest. They also have partners in the Netherlands, Dixie's, and the big team of people who've worked for 20 years, Eidos Montreal, their sister studio for all of Tomb Raider, and now working on this. Even Square Enix Japan has folks from the tech group working on the game. That's insane.
It is. See, I know you're both eager for this game. So it's a single-player game that has multiplayer side missions. Is that right?
Okay, okay, here's the next part. It says you cannot play Marvel's Avengers campaign multiplayer.
Yeah.
Yeah, see, I was bummed about that. I was hoping for a good couch co-op.
Okay, so all right, little behind the scenes here, because we didn't record last week. Some of these topics are a week old, so that's why they're going to be bunched together here. Going back to the topic, during Square Enix's presentation for Marvel's Avengers E3, it was said there will be gameplay for 1 to 4 players, but left it at that. IGN followed up with Crystal Dynamics developers and learned that the entire story campaign is single player only and has no multiplayer option. After seeing the gameplay demo at E3, it was very clear the campaign was intended to be single player experience. The demo was essentially the entire trailer shown. Oh, sorry, and then it popped up. Shown to the public that they actually played out the full gameplay sequences where you respond to the attack on the Golden Gate Bridge. As the level progresses, you're put in control of each of the Avengers for a different segment, and then it ends with a boss fight against Taskmaster. It was heavily scripted, kind of like Uncharted or Tomb Raider, and you had switching from one Avenger to another for key story beats, so you can see why that wouldn't work with 2 or more players. Crystal Dynamics lead combat designer and lead creative director explained that as you progress through the campaign, extra side missions will open up, and that's where you're presented with multiplayer options and can choose to be whatever Avenger you want. If all you want to do is go back to missions as Thor and level them up, you could do that and then go back to the main story.
Well, that's not really multiplayer, switching between different characters.
Okay, it says also note you could play the whole campaign and all the missions single player if you wanted to, and you could do that all offline. But to play the missions multiplayer, obviously you would need to be online.
Oh, okay.
The missions spin out of the main story and have a little story of their own, and the developers said the stories will weave together, so it makes sense why you're going to be on these non-campaign missions in the first place. So this eases my mind because, like I said, I was worried this was going to be an MMO, but now that fearing that it's single player only, obviously it's not an MMO anymore.
Well, yeah, I'm. The only thing
I know you're bummed because you wanted couch co-op.
Well, I want couch co-op. I didn't want online at all because, like I said, most online people are douches. So you would be trying to be working on a mission or something, and you got this Yahoo over here doing something, or he's rushing in to start it before everybody else gets there. You know, like I've witnessed in Red Dead or some of the other games. So I was wanting couch co-op where you could have, sit there with your buddies. So I'm fine with single player.
But you're kind of bummed you can't.
Well, I am kind of bummed. I thought it'd be kind of cool to sit there with your friends and, and play, but because I thought that game would lead well to a couch co-op game.
They've also said that Vince Napoli, the lead combat designer, says that he wants every hero in Marvel's Avengers to play differently from one another. In an interview with Games Radar, he says, quote, very, very differently when you play each of the characters. The personal mechanics are totally different. The way you play defense is very different. Widow doesn't block. She's not going to block attacks. She's going to evade them, and she's going to use her grappling hook.
Well, that makes sense. I mean, they should play differently.
It says, according to the interview, one of the major reasons Marvel wants these characters to feel different is so they can easily feel as if they're the center of their own game. When you're playing as Iron Man, it needs to feel like this is an Iron Man game now. When you're playing as Hulk, you need to be a Hulk game. So, there you go. What's the matter? What's the matter?
I know. I like the largest game in history. So it's not a game as service if it's a single player game, but it's obviously going to be well supported.
Oh no, it's not the biggest game in history. It's the biggest game they've ever done.
Sorry, but they've made some big games in the past too. With various studios with Tomb Raider. So yeah, 5 studios. That's a lot, isn't it? Working on one game. Wow.
It does sound like a lot.
I imagine it's going to be amazing, but yeah.
All right.
Crazy.
You don't sound too excited about it.
Look, to be honest with you, I probably won't play it because I don't play a lot of those comic book movies. But I just with that much, it must be a logistical nightmare trying to organise all of those bits. And I wonder how it will all come together. I don't know.
Well, that's probably the reason why they did this like mini 30-second trailer 3 years ago, 4 years ago.
Yeah.
And now we're finally hearing something.
Yeah. Well, you can tell me what it's like. When's it coming out? Is there a date yet? No date.
March 20th.
Oh, okay. So it's happening.
Yeah, it's a ways off.
Can you imagine? Not only are there 5 studios working on that, but then you've also got Marvel as well in the corner, just telling them what to do. Oh, it would be. Imagine being that the person that handles all that. God, that'd be a nightmare. Absolute nightmare.
All right, let's move on here. EA Access for PlayStation 4 has a release date.
Good.
It is coming to the PlayStation 4 this month. I'm saying this month, but it's actually next month for us. But this month, for July 24th.
Well, when the show comes out, it will be this month, so you did it correctly.
Well, that's what... Okay, I didn't think I needed to explain it that much.
No, now you got to take this out. Or leave it in.
I'm leaving it in.
Awesome.
Because I'm going to show them how much of a jackass you are.
Well, everybody already knows that. They don't need to remind you.
All right, so that's when EA Access is coming out.
Are you getting it? I know you're getting it.
I'm not getting EA Access.
You're not getting EA Access. I thought for sure you would.
Nah, because the only thing that I would buy EA Access for
Jedi Fallen
is
Order?
You know what?
I just talked him into it.
No. I'm just saying, yeah, then it'd be good for 1 year because then I could play Fallen Order and I could also play NHL. But NHL is the only EA game that I really have any interest in. Like, I'm not interested in Mass Effect or anything like that.
Yeah.
But
Well, didn't you play No Way Out?
Yeah, but that was like that
was an EA or
yeah, but that was a 6-hour game, and that's not going to be on EA Play.
Well, it might not be, considering EA really didn't get any money. It didn't get any money out of it. The only EA game I see me picking up is Fallen Order.
Yeah, and I'm iffy on that because EA has fucked up Star Wars many times.
Yeah, I know, but it's a Star Wars game, so
that
I'm part of the.
You know what?
I'm part of the problem.
You are part of the problem.
I know I'm part of the problem.
And there was almost a problem with the new God of War in that they were going to leave Kratos out of it.
That'd have been perfectly fine.
Okay.
Just remove the central character. Why not?
Well, I mean, you kind of like...
That's Sony's
you gotta
censorship
destroy
right there.
Well, introduce his Greek brother, or his Norse brother. Which I don't know what that would be, but...
Okay.
So this is Sony's central office. I'm sorry, we're going to have to censor your main character out of the game now. Sorry.
Okay. You kind of destroyed my question at the end, but let's go through the topic anyway.
You're welcome.
God of War director Cory Barlog has revealed that Sony Santa Monica had discussed cutting Kratos from the game during the early planning stages of the game. Talking at Game Lab in Barcelona, Barlog said, quote, early in discussion, people were saying we got to get rid of Kratos. It was like, he's annoying, he's done, end quote. Barlog went on to describe the members of the development team felt... Geez, I hate when an ad pops up when I'm reading. Members of the development team felt that Kratos' anti-hero design had been played through in the original trilogy and that the new game needed a fresh protagonist. The argument that the mythology was important to the series, not the character of Kratos. Barlog managed to convince the team that Kratos was a worthy protagonist by making the game story about a shift in his personality brought on about by his son Atreus. While this new plot brought with it many concerns of God of War turning into a game-long escort mission and added pressure on animators and programmers who had to handle a second protagonist who accompanies Kratos almost constantly, Sony Santa Monica managed to push through and deliver on Barlog's vision for the game. So, now here's the question, Yield.
Okay.
That you've already answered.
Yeah.
In the God of War series, or any series, you know what? Let's take God of War out of it for a second. Let's just say Uncharted. Can Uncharted continue if Nathan Drake is not the hero?
Well, we talked about that, I think, after 3 was done. And we all said it can. It can carry on with the name, and you can carry on with some of the other sub-characters, which they did with... why am I drawing a blank on...
I know what you're talking about.
On Nadine and Cleo's...
Chloe.
Yeah. But
Uncharted something. Oh, jeez, I can't remember now.
I'm thinking Golden Abyss, but I know that's not right. That was
that's the
Vita
Vita
version.
one.
That's the prequel.
I'm
The
looking
Lost
on my
Legacy,
list now.
wasn't it?
There you go.
Say,
Lost
Legacy,
Legacy. The DLC that turned into a game.
But did that rate as well? Did that sell as well as the Uncharted? Like, did people like that as much?
Well, you can't really count sales for that because that was part of the season pass because we were promised DLC for Uncharted 4.
Oh,
and the DLC they instead of giving us DLC, they gave us another game.
Oh, that's a pretty good deal then.
Well, yeah, if you bought
Yeah.
the season pass, you got the game for free. I, on the other hand, went out and bought the game when it was like $10-$20.
Yeah.
Yeah, because yield is cheap.
I am cheap.
And doesn't like to support his developers.
No, that is not true. I've got such...
He's the main reason why we're not getting Uncharted 5 right now.
That is... You liar. I supported Uncharted 4. That's a lie. I got such a backlog of games. If there is not a game that I am playing day one, it goes on the... I will buy that when it price drops. And it goes into the backlog.
Right, but see, you know what? I'm not even gonna.
And
do
I
it with you.
still buy a new copy, not a used copy, so they still get their money.
After they price dropped to $20.
It's all right. It's all right,
That's
yield.
the brick and mortar store's fault, not the developer's fault.
No, it's your fault for not going out and buying the game at full price to support the developer.
I am supporting the developer. I bought a new copy.
You should buy it when it comes out and just put it in your backlog. This way you don't have to go to the store
I'm
later.
Sorry,
You went to the store now.
bags that has this indispensable income. They can sit here and go, video games, whee!
Don't worry about
Make
it.
rain money.
Don't worry about it, yield. We've got you covered. We're
Okay.
supporting enough developers as it is.
See?
Yeah, I'm supporting all the mobile developers that are porting over games to the
That's
Vita.
right.
There you go.
No, like Yield, you know, I'm busting your chops
I
in this out
know.
of love.
I know. This is a fun... I always like having this conversation.
But I am a strong component of if you know you're going to buy the game and you want the series to continue, you need to support the developers. You need to buy the game at launch to show them, hey, there is a need for this. Because games like Mirror's Edge it didn't sell out, but it was a cult classic. Everybody wanted it. And then EA finally broke down, and they made the second one, and nobody went out and bought it.
Nobody went out and bought it. Yeah, I know. And the same thing's going to happen with the game that I'm looking forward to. I'm looking forward, you've heard me say it several times, I'm looking forward to Wreckfest. Because it reminds me a lot of Demolition Racer, which got panned in reviews, but it had an underground following. And this game reminds me a lot of that. And I'm buying it day one, and I know it won't have a huge, necessarily maybe console support, but I don't care. I'm picking it up.
Yeah.
All right, so CJ, do you think that a game like Uncharted or God of War or hell, Tomb Raider, they can continue without the protagonist that we know and love already?
I don't think Tomb Raider could.
No.
If you threw that out there.
Yeah. See, I think maybe Uncharted could because there were more. I mean, there were more characters in that, even though a lot of them weren't fleshed out. Whereas God of War and Tomb Raider, I don't think they could. I mean, they're so focused on the central character. I don't know why you would. I mean, I don't know. Like, people play that game for that gameplay and that character, I would have thought. I don't know.
Well, that's the same. I mean, just to play devil's advocate, like not even play devil's advocate. Just why do you guys feel like Uncharted doesn't focus on Nathan Drake, but Tomb Raider focuses on Lara Croft, or God of War focuses on Kratos? Uncharted is Nathan Drake.
Well, because this is my 2 cents. Tomb Raider, you only play as Laura, and if you do interact with somebody, it's not like they're along with you for the ride or with the story. It's in a flashback or a cutscene in passing. It's not like they're with you all the time. Uncharted, you've got Sully's always with you, even though that you're not controlling him. He is with you most of the time, unless the level is designed for you to be separated, and you've got Elena and Chloe was in there for a while, and you've got your list of baddies and their kind of sub helpers. That there was a lot more of a flushed out environment for Uncharted, that you could pick certain people and branch out in another direction, and then from there develop other people and branch out from there and still call it Uncharted, even though you don't necessarily have the core people there anymore.
Yeah.
You could. I don't think it would sell as good because you don't have Nate and Elena and Sully. But it could go on. Whereas Tomb Raider, if all of a sudden you called it Tomb Raider and you brought out a guy named Jack, it's not going to do so well.
No. Yes.
Okay.
I see. You know what I
see-
think? I think that. I mean, I don't know how they get away from it because, like, look at something like Assassin's Creed. So, like, you associate with that series, even though each game is a different character, but it has that overarching thing where they're all roughly the same person. You know, if you go far enough back, and that works really well. Like, you know, that sells well, and you know, I enjoy playing the different versions and different stories of that. But then, as you say, with Uncharted or God of War or Tomb Raider, I want to play that character. I want to continue on. Like, it feels comfortable. I don't know, there are so many new games coming out, but so few, like in the indie sphere, but so few new IPs that I think it's just easier to continue on with what you already know. Like, maybe I'm getting old and I don't like change. I just like continuing.
I mean, to be honest, like, what pops in my mind is Metal Gear. We had Metal Gear Solid come out, and we played the Solid Snake. And then, when Metal Gear Solid 2 came out, you started off as Snake, but very, very early on, you switched the character, and now you were Raiden. Or Raiden, however you want to pronounce it.
However you want to pronounce it. And that kind of killed it for me.
But it was like, this is not why I'm playing Metal Gear Solid.
Yeah.
Even though the character played the same, controlled the same and whatnot, it wasn't Solid Snake.
Yeah.
So, like, I'm thinking, like, Metal Gear can't go on without Solid Snake. Tomb Raider can't go on without Lara Croft. God of War can't go off without Kratos. Uncharted can't go off without Nathan Drake. Ratchet and Clank can't go off without Ratchet and Clank.
Well, it'd be kind of,
you know what I'm saying?
It'd be kind of hard for Ratchet and Clank considering they're in the title.
But you get my point. It's like, once we have a character established with the franchise, you can't, like, to me, you can't just change that person.
No.
Like, it just doesn't, the game feels off and different, totally.
Yes. Yeah.
That's the way I feel.
Can't argue with you.
Yeah.
I'm just saying,
All right.
out of all those games suggested, Uncharted would be the one that would have the greater chance to succeed.
I'll go with that a little bit, but I don't even think it has a chance to succeed.
Well, and mainly I say that because as long as Naughty Dog was still in charge of it, then people would still give it a look because they know that they're going to anticipate that they're going to get the good story because Naughty Dog is doing it. They will at least buy into the first one and go, okay, you know, is it still as good as it has been? Whereas the other ones, if they come out with a totally different character right off the bat, most everybody's going to go, no, thank you.
Well, I guess we're going to see that with The Last of Us too, aren't we? Like, I mean, you'll be playing as Ellie, not Joel now. So,
but we played as Ellie in the first game, and she was the character from the start.
True. But
and we don't even know if Joel's still alive. By the way,
that's true. Yeah.
All right, so that is done with our main topics, but we do have 2 topics of the week.
Oh boy!
And both of these make me extremely uncomfortable to talk about.
I'm amazed that IGN wrote this article, but go for it.
Okay, so
boobies.
Disclaimer: we are 3 men about to talk about the size of a woman's breast.
An anime.
I see nothing wrong with this.
Please don't send us hate mail or anything like that. We're only responding to the controversy.
Refer all hate mail to Tricky Mick at provengamer.com.
Okay, so the title of this article, as CJ pointed out from IGN, says Final Fantasy VII Remake, Tifa isn't getting a smaller chest, just a proper bra. This is stemming from the fact that people lost their ever-loving minds when it was suggested that Tifa's chest would be reduced from a D cup to a C cup.
It's Sony censorship again.
That's blasphemy. Get out the pitchforks and the torches. We're going to burn this mother down.
Okay, so the way. Okay, so in
Compose
reality,
yourself.
according to the article, it says, in summary, Tifa was not requested to get a smaller chest, only to be given a proper garment. With that said, of course, it makes sense for Tifa to wear a high-impact sports bra. Tifa fights, runs, jumps, and does all sorts of physical activities in Final Fantasy VII. And let me tell you, now, this is coming from a woman who's writing this article. Let me tell you, not having a proper bra during intense activities can be annoying, painful, and, I'm not going to lie, embarrassing. Especially if you're as hashtag blessed as Tifa.
Do you know, if someone cuts that out and reuses that audio in a different way, that's going to look really bad for you.
Yes,
it's probably a good thing he's editing this week.
Yes, it is. It goes on to say, yes, she is very obviously still appears to have very large breasts, even while wearing a constricted undergarment, and that is a miracle, especially as someone with such low body fat percentage. Of course, Tifa is a fictional character, and the laws of physics and realistic body proportions vary greatly from game to game, but in addition of the sports bra, it makes sense from a realistic standpoint.
Do you know what the amazing thing is? That any of these female characters can actually stand up? I mean, the breasts are so big, they would literally fall over. It's guaranteed. Like...
Send all your hate mail to CJ.
No, I mean, they're so, like, I'm playing a little bit of this Super Neptunia RPG at the moment, and this Nep, like, it's ridiculous. I mean, they're bigger than a head. Like, come on. You know, where's the line? It's getting a bit ridiculous.
The reason this makes me uncomfortable to talk about is because of the fact that we are in such a PC-minded world nowadays. I don't know how it is down in Australia.
You mean PG?
No, PC, politically correct.
I am not discriminating against large-breasted anime characters here. I would like to make that clear. I have no problem with them carrying on with their business. But I'm concerned about their back support and how they're going to walk in later life. I mean, they're serious issues.
That's a legit concern.
That's right.
Okay, so the reason this makes me uncomfortable is because we are in a very PC world, and everything's got to be accepted by everybody here in the United States. I'm not going to go down my feelings on that subject, but I don't really agree with that. This is artistic expression. How are we having a conversation about the size of a girl's breast in a game that's being remade of a game that was 20 years ago, but yet less than 5-10 years ago, and even today, we get the games like Dead or Alive Extreme Beach Volleyball, where girls are flopping around in bikinis playing volleyball,
she kicks high.
100% is to exploit the sexuality. There's even nudity in that game. But here we are talking about the size of a woman's breast, but we're not talking about the fact that there's a game that's obviously exploiting sexuality.
Well, in Square's defense, this is the only part of the game they've actually remade so far, the breasts, so, you know.
I love you, CJ.
It's true, though. I mean, how much of this game even exists?
And it took 7 years.
Yeah.
Okay, this is a stupid conversation.
It is.
Because you put it in the show notes.
Okay, but I'm addressing this because I just want to simply say this one statement.
Okay.
Anybody who's gonna that obviously cares about Final Fantasy VII Remake is going to play the game regardless of Tifa's breast.
Yeah.
You know what? I'm gonna have to talk to my brother about that.
All right, listeners, so at this time we did call Homer, but since Yul doesn't know how to use a smartphone and put it on speakerphone so we can hear Homer, we had lost all the audio, and rather than put it in here and have you struggle to hear what he said, because I'm actually struggling to hear what he says as I'm edited, we are just going to cut that part out and resume the show right after we talk to him.
All right.
Okay, so I really didn't hear him on this end.
So basically what he said in a nutshell was, and you'll hear it on my audio hopefully.
Yeah, so I'll probably have to take this all to the show, but go ahead.
Anyway, what he basically said was if they'd have given her a smaller chest, he is canceling his pre-order.
That's a lie.
See, the thing
No,
is,
I believe him. He's a huge Final Fantasy VII fan. I mean, that Final Fantasy VII is the pinnacle of Final Fantasies in his opinion, and he will argue with anybody about that. So
he's that much of a purist that if Tifa's breast would have been reduced, he would not have bought the game.
If he would buy it, he would have probably bought it on the cheap, or somebody would have had to have given it to him as a gift.
Okay, and what did he say about the price reduction?
He absolutely said yes. He was like, if they given her like an A cup, it would have been worth like $20.
All right.
So he was on board with that idea.
All right. So our second topic. Again, disclaimer. This might cause a little bit of a conversation that I'm ultimately against on having on a Proving It podcast, but we're going down the path.
Is this about malendowment size? Sorry. Which one was this?
No.
Oh, sorry.
This is about penis size.
Oh, good.
This article also comes from IGN. It says Nintendo, Microsoft, and Sony contest Trump administration trade tariffs. This article is written from IGN and is from John Ryan. I'm not going to read all of it, but I want to read some of it because you guys are not... CJ, you being from Australia, I don't know how much you know about our political system over here, and Yield tries to blank out everything government, so...
It's a democracy, isn't it? Is that what they say?
Yes.
Good.
The article says, earlier last week, Sony, Nintendo, and Microsoft all petitioned the U.S. government to reconsider their stance on tariffs placed on goods imported from China to the United States. The trio of game and console developers issued a joint statement responding to the U.S. Trade Representative's request for public comments regarding the implementation of said tariffs, saying, quote, we respectfully request the administrator remove HTSUS subheading, I'm not going to read that number, covering video game consoles from the final list of tariffs and thus refrain from applying tariffs on these products, end quote. The tariff is being proposed by the Trump administration as part of a wider economic standoff between the United States and China and would include a 25% increase on video game consoles, controllers, arcade machines, and even board games. The trio of console manufacturers explained in their letter that, quote, while we appreciate the administration's effort to protect U.S. intellectual property and preserve the U.S. high-tech leadership and disproportionate harm caused by these tariffs to the U.S. customers and businesses will undermine, not advance, these goals, end quote. The companies claim that the increased tariffs would not only mean higher costs for their audiences, but the increase could potentially affect not just the console manufacturers themselves, but the 65,000 odd game developers in the United States as well. Quote, reduced video game console sales questionably will lead to reduce game sales of games, which is highly likely to have a bad effect on the small and medium-sized businesses that make up these games and the workers whom they employ, end quote. Of course, the big question is what sort of effect these tariffs may place on the United States consumers. The letter claims that, a price increase of 25% will likely put a new video game console out of reach for many American families who expect to be in the market for a console this holiday season. For those purchases that do go forward despite tariffs, consumers would pay $840 million more than they otherwise would have. Even after accounting for new tariff revenue, the result is a net $350 million loss for the U.S. economy each year on the tariffs remaining in effect with the burden of the U.S. consumers, end quote. So, I basically read the whole article. Basically, what this boils down to being is that the rumored prices for the PlayStation 5 and Project Scarlet are between the $400 and $500 range. So let's just assume they're both $400. If this is put on, your PlayStation 5, which would have cost $400 now, is going to cost $500 when it comes out. And if it's $500, then your console is going to be go from $500 up to $650.
Pass.
So now, it is worth noting on this. Right now, there is, as of this recording, there is a hold, and these tariffs are not going to be put on place. But this tariff does not only affect video games, it affects everything that is imported from China to the United States. So, with that being said, we need to talk about this because CJ, I know you're from Australia.
Yes.
You pay tariffs.
Yeah.
We were talking pre-show where we said that where we pay $60 pre-tax for a game, you are actually paying how much in Australian dollars?
So, I mean, the equivalent in the US would probably be around 70 to 75. Yeah. For a AAA
right.
game.
Right. So you're already paying a tariff into, because things being imported in Australia.
Yes.
So a tariff from the United States, a tariff in the United States from China is not an unheard thing worldwide. It's just a new thing that's affecting gamers now. So my question to you is, living in Australia, do you feel like you're being, I don't want to use the word robbed, but cheated because you're not able to get things because of tariffs?
Yeah, I mean, it's a difficult one. I mean, it's getting a lot better across, obviously it affects a lot of different products. It's getting a lot better with, with online, shopping and Amazon set up over here now as well, stores and stuff. So the competition is driving the price down. So I think what's happening is the retailers are starting to take more of a hit or maybe making less profit than they used to. So that's not, it's not stepping past the tariffs, but it's making it easier for the consumer, I suppose, in that regard. I mean, like, where would be an issue would be for gamers here, I suppose, is the hardware, because you're not going to import a system, from somewhere else, America or wherever else to avoid the tariff. It's not going to be worth it in the cost of postage and stuff. But so, like, in the game situation, though, you could potentially, and I think, like, it ties back into this digital ownership. Like, most of what I buy digital because it is substantially cheaper than, and buying from another country or whatever, than buying here in Australia itself. So, yeah, I don't know. Everyone goes on about how, the economy is slowing here and how there isn't much money now for recreational purchase or any of this sort of stuff. And yet there's massive growth in areas like entertainment here at the moment, in particular, cafe culture, restaurant spending and stuff. So I think maybe Australians are just used to that's what it is now, and they pay. So you're not used to it. That's why it's a big thing for you. But if it comes in and 2 years later, you would just accept it as a given. So I think maybe we've just become used to the fact that this is what it costs. So therefore it is. If that makes sense.
All right.
Well,
No, it makes total sense. And yield, I mean, to CJ's point, I mean, obviously, if you're looking to get a PlayStation 5 and, you were budgeting out to, have $400 so you could buy the console at launch date, which I know you're not going to do. But let's just let's say you were.
Yeah.
It's really going to suck that it's going to be an extra $100 if this tariff goes through.
Well, and then I would wait. Or wait longer.
Which is to the point of the article, is that it's going to stop people from buying the console because now it's more expensive.
Well, it would. I mean, look at it when it was $600 and everybody didn't buy it right. Look at, what was that, the 3? When it was
PlayStation 3.
When it was 6 and everybody...
When Sony said, people will go get a second job to afford the console.
Yeah. And and everybody was like, no. Or not everybody, but the vast majority was like, no. And then when they finally came around and started lowering the price, people was like, okay, now this makes more sense. So I think initially they'll take a hit because there'll be people like me that I'm not paying that. But like CJ said, if after a couple of years and it's not going away anytime soon, now it's normal. It's not going away. You have to accept it or just do away with it. Then that's when people will start, all right, I'm going to pay for it. Or your bargains that you get at sale time are going to be even more of a rush because people are like, ooh, now I'll pay that.
Yeah.
See, tariffs are not like, we've established tariffs are not a new idea, so to speak, because. Okay, and this is where this is the part of the conversation I'm dreading having. We all remember during Trump, when he was going on the campaign trail, he was talking about building the wall. And one of the famous lines was, who's going to pay for the wall? And he said Mexico was going to pay for the wall. Now, a lot of people take that literally, but what was later clarified, and which Trump should have done from the start, is clarified that he was going to raise the tariffs from stuff from Mexico and use the extra money on the extra tariffs and use that money to build the wall.
Well, see, first off, you never believe anything the government says because they'll never take the extra money that they use for somebody else to pay for something that they were going to say to begin with. So, I
agree. I agree with you.
I had not heard that version. I had not heard that clarification. So thank you for enlightening me a little. But then, if you believe that the government's actually going to take said money that they were going to tariff somebody to pay for said something else, you are an absolute moron because that never happens.
Well, no, I agree with you 100%.
All right.
I'm just saying that tariffs and Trump have been associated before. The fact with Trump is, like him or hate him, the guy is not a good public speaker, and he says a lot of asinine things.
I absolutely agree. But as a businessman, the guy knows his shit.
Right. So him trying to put a 25% increase on tariffs from things from China, there is an economic reason for it.
There is probably a way to get around that, though, Tricky.
Obviously.
Okay, finish your thought and then follow me on this and see if I'm right.
Well, what I'm not defending Trump here. What I'm saying is, by putting a 25% increase on tariffs from things from China, because realistically and honestly, we do get a lot of our shit from China.
Yeah.
Okay, so that's going to bring money into the economy. Now, the problem is that companies like Sony, Microsoft, Nintendo, in the case of video games, are all going to have to pay an extra tax to import their systems. And the only way around that is to actually manufacture the systems in the United States, which they're not going to do, which is not going to happen. So if Sony and Microsoft and Nintendo all have to pay that extra tax, because that's what a tariff is, it's a tax. If they all have to pay that extra tax to bring their consoles into the United States, they're going to now turn that cost over to us.
Yeah.
And that's the problem.
Yeah.
Is the government will get more money because they're increasing the tax, because they're going to get the money from Sony and Microsoft and Nintendo. And
the console companies will get their money back by passing it on to us.
Right.
Yeah.
So, I mean, like I said,
the only people you are hurting in this process are the consumers.
Right. Because the businesses are not going to just shelter the cost and say, okay, we're going to pay an extra 25% tax on our systems.
Yeah. They'll do one of two things. They'll either jack up our price or be like, you're not going to get our product.
Right. And that's what I'm saying. So, like, Trump's reason for bringing the tax is to bring more money into the government. That's good. Find a way to bring more money into the government. The bad side of it is it's not... the people are that are going to be hurt, like you said, are the consumers. And if the consumers are hurt, we're going to buy less, which is then going to hurt the business, which is then going to hurt the tariffs, which is, it's a cycle. It's like you go in one big circle and there's no solution.
No.
So again, to be clear, I'm not defending Trump. I'm just telling you, business-wise, this makes sense to earn money, but it's not a good idea because in the end, it's probably just going to hurt the consumer, the government, and the businesses.
Okay, so follow me on this one and tell me if my train of thought is correct. So let's say if the video game companies have their consoles made in China, which a lot of them do, where they get components from China.
Right.
So they're assembled in China. Let's say, we'll just say for the sake of argument, Sony. Sony has the PlayStation 5 made in China. They then bring them to Japan. From Japan, they then sell them. Here you go, North America. Would there still be a tariff because it was made in China? It wasn't shipped from China. Japan took it. Now Japan is selling it. See what I'm saying?
Yes,
they bought it
tariff
from China. We're buying it from Japan.
Yes, there would still be a tariff.
Because it still originated from China.
Correct.
Oh, okay.
Because just give you another example. everybody knows I'm a smoker. I quit and then I started again. I'm in the process of quitting again. But just for the sake of this argument, a pack of cigarettes in Staten Island, where I live, ranges anywhere from $10 to $12.
Sounds about right.
If I go to Manhattan, that same pack of cigarettes now costs me anywhere between $14 to $18.
Different tax because of a different part of the state.
Right. There's actually a law in the books in Manhattan that one of the bodegas showed me. They are legally not allowed to sell a pack of cigarettes for less than $13.
I can believe that because I've seen cigarette shops around, or not necessarily cigarette shops. I've seen gas stations or whatever, beer at state minimum.
Right. So now, if I go across the state lines, which I do when I work, into Jersey, that same pack of cigarettes is $7.
Different state.
Right. But now here's the kicker, and this is going to kind of answer your question about China and Japan.
Okay.
So logically, cheaper for me, I go out to Jersey, buy my cigarettes because I'm saving anywhere from 30 to 50% on a pack of cigarettes.
Well, which makes economic sense. You're giving the money to Jersey.
Right.
Yeah.
But when I do my New York taxes at the end of the year,
yeah,
there's actually a line on New York City's tax return saying, did you buy anything out of state and not pay taxes on it? Example, cigarettes.
You're only going to get busted if you actually be honest and fill it out.
But the point is legally, I have to say yes, and then once I say yes, I have to pay New York taxes on that pack of cigarettes.
Yeah, I get that. But to be honest with you, how many people are actually honest about that?
But that's leading to the point is just because it's coming from Jersey does not mean I don't have to pay New York City taxes on it.
Yeah, I know. And I think that's bullcrap. Just like for the longest time, Tricky, for the longest time, I did not have to pay sales tax on PSN purchases.
And neither did I.
And then I don't know how, it might have been a year ago, that all of a sudden I had to start paying local or state.
Well, whatever. You know where that is, though.
No, I don't. I figured somebody wanted their money.
No, what it is an online company cannot charge you sales tax unless they have a brick and mortar store in your state. So what had happened is Sony opened up a brick and mortar store in Ohio, so now they can charge sales tax.
Yeah, I'm just like, whatever. I was annoyed because that's an extra $1 or whatever out of my wallet every time I buy a game. And I'm just like, well, screw you people. Now you get less money because that $1 would have went to something else.
Okay, but like I said, this is why, tariffs are not necessarily a bad thing, but everybody. But the second you mention tariffs or taxes or something like that, people get their arms up in the air and start waving around, and they start screaming from the hilltop,
well, yeah,
don't tax my money.
You're taking my money.
And I agree with you. Okay?
Listen,
listen,
I would not be against taxes if they would use the money responsibly. But the monkeys in D.C. cannot use money responsibly, so they don't get any of it. Or any more of it.
I'm going to show a little bit of my political leaning here, but anybody that knows me personally, you know me personally,
yes,
knows that I will literally give you the shirt off my back to help you out.
Yes.
My problem is that when you force me to take my shirt off and give it to somebody else.
Yeah.
Yeah.
That's where I stand. I don't care that you tax me because I literally will help you financially. And Yield knows this personally where without even asking, I offer money.
Yeah.
But when you tell me that you are going to tax me more to give money to other people who don't have to go through the same process I do to earn that money, that's where my problems start.
Hey, I will tell you, I agree. That was the same problem that I had with Obamacare. It wasn't because healthcare for everybody. I agreed with that. Yes, we should all have healthcare. It was the fact that the government was saying, you have to have healthcare. if I don't want,
Or you pay a $500
I'll
fine.
pay a $500 fine, and we keep upping it every year that you don't have it. It's like, well, who are you to tell me I need it? If I don't want it, I don't have to have it.
Yeah. See, I don't know though. Like I totally agree with everything you're saying, but the problem with these tariffs you're talking about they are on luxury goods here. These aren't essential things that you have to survive. So that's another issue again. Like you can, if you just choose, you don't want to pay it, you don't have to play these things. You don't have to buy them. So I think that's one point.
Right.
And then another point is that you have to consider that maybe Sony and Microsoft would, and Nintendo as well, I suppose, will potentially take a hit here because, they keep reporting that, they're not really making that much money off the console. Perhaps they make money off the game. So by putting these these systems into your house, encouraging digital ownership, that's a big market for them. They could take a massive hit on these consoles and still make a lot of money on the back end. So
well, to your point, if they went digital only,
and that I was getting ready to say that. What if they went digital only?
Yeah, they would, like you said, they would take a hit on the consoles, but they would make their money back up on the back end because they can then distribute the game from the United States, from a server in the United States, and not pay tariffs on it.
Yeah.
But like I said, tariffs and taxes are not inherently bad things, and I think all three of us would agree that it's not that the taxes are a bad thing; is that we don't have any trust that the taxes or tariffs would be used properly.
Correct.
See, the problem we have in Australia, and I assume it's the same issue you have in America, is we got this goods and services tax, years ago or whatever, and the idea being that, that they basically admitted the tax system is, a joke, that, the more money you have, the better you're going to be at avoiding it, or whatever else, and that's a universal truth everywhere, in reality. So these tariffs, these taxes, they hit everybody equally. That's the theory. But the problem is that it's not the theory. If you're earning $20,000 or $30,000 a year, these taxes hit you a hell of a lot harder than someone who's earning $100,000 or $200,000 a year. So I understand that your point, that everyone will now pay or whatever. So it's equality across the thing. But the problem is it's not equality on the individual. So that's the other. That's where I find it's really difficult with luxury, items like this or stuff. There are, as you say, Tricky, you help anyone you can afford it. You're in a position to, but there are people, maybe dissimilar to us that are not in the position. So $1 or $2 to us is okay. Well, we can handle that, but $1 or $2 to some people, they can't. And that's my issue with these sort of. These type of things is that I understand that it's going to help, the equality behind it, as your government sees it, or, so does ours. But in reality, there isn't equality. It's in effect, it's taxing the lower end even more, because they're paying as the goods as well as across in the yearly return or something. But and then the other point too, because it's interesting talking to Americans is this thing with China. I mean, your country is about the only one that can impose these tariffs now on China. You're the only one strong enough position to. And the fallout it's going to have potentially, I mean, in Australia they're very worried because China is a major trading partner for us, obviously. And so what will happen? But in a lot of ways, and again, I'm not paying the tariffs that are proposed because they're on your end. But in a lot of ways, I think it would help us and the rest of the world for someone to stand up a little bit here. And I mean, it would help your industry as well. I mean, America's been, hammered in what they create now. And the only way to survive in the future is going to be to bring industry back. I mean, we have exactly the same problem here. And there has to be ways to combat countries like China, and these, sort of Eastern countries and their labor laws and everything else. So it's a really complex situation.
Well, see, I don't know if you guys are aware of this, but Microsoft, like the Xbox, doesn't sell very well in Japan and China because they are very. What's the appropriate word I want to use?
American?
No, they only buy and purchase stuff from their own country.
Yes.
So they don't buy the Xbox because it's American made. That's their culture. Where, I guess a little bit of CJ's point. Australia and America, we buy things made out of country because our labor laws and the taxes we impose on businesses. It's cheaper for somebody to manufacture in Mexico or China and be able to sell that console. Where right now, I'm just going to throw numbers out my ass here, but if Sony was actually to develop the PlayStation in America, we like a $600 console wouldn't even be the start. We'd be looking at $1,000, $1,200 for a console. By moving it over to China and manufacture in China, they're essentially cutting their costs to allow them to sell it at a reasonable price to us. And that's why you see, like in our political conversations, like we're going to bring jobs back to America, is because you have to change the laws to allow companies like Ford, Chevy, Sony, Microsoft to be able to manufacture in the United States cheaply so they can stay in business. We've had corporate bailouts. We had the audio industry bailout because these companies cannot afford to do business in the United States. So they're moving to China. They're moving to Mexico. And then on the flip side, now Trump wants to, and I'm saying Trump, but this is any president, they want to impose tariffs on these countries to bring these businesses back because they're gonna make it trying to make it more expensive to manufacture in China, to manufacture in Mexico. That it's actually, by putting these tariffs off, it's actually cheaper for them to manufacture in the United States.
That's right.
Yeah, I get that.
The tariffs then have to go back in. Sorry, only briefly. The tariffs, but this is the other problem. The tariffs then have to go back into supporting those businesses to restructure in America, and that's the issue.
Correct.
That's the problem. Yeah.
Because that kind of worked
Not the
with
wall.
Ford. Because Ford moved to Mexico.
Yeah.
And then
they started tariffing all the cars coming in from Mexico, and they turned around and after a few years packed up and came back into America.
Right. So, I mean, there are political reasons behind tariffs, but ultimately what really needs to change, this is where I didn't want to go with this conversation, but what needs to change is we have to change, when I say we, I mean the United States, we have to change the laws in America to allow these companies to manufacture in America so they don't feel a need to go to Mexico, to China, to Australia, or wherever to manufacture cheaply because they want to stay in business. A business's job, sole number one job,
make money,
is to stay in business. Because, as Yul said, to make money. And if they're going to go to the cheapest place, they're going to hire the cheapest labor, they're going to do whatever they can. I mean, hell, our space shuttles are built by the lowest bidder.
Yeah. Yeah.
I mean, we're sending...
how does that feel being an astronaut?
Well, I in Armageddon, the guy said, does anybody realize that we have a rocket strapped to our ass that's made by the lowest bidder?
I forgot that line.
Okay? We're literally putting a man in space.
Yeah.
And it's the person that bid the cheapest. So it's all about money and in the end of the day. And businesses are not going to take that hit.
No.
The consumers are.
See, the problem, like this is the social problem I find with this, is that so things cost more, so now you need more money, so now you work more, and that's the ultimate. That's where this is why the whole system will eventually collapse. It has to collapse. Is that you can only work so many hours before you just can't anymore, and you're just. I mean, the thing that always staggers me is that they say that 1% of the world's population hold 95% of the world's wealth. I mean, because everybody else is just trying to survive at their own level, and the distribution is just so out of whack around the Western world at the moment that it's we may not see it in our lifetime, although we are seeing it. I mean, you had the housing collapse over there. Our market is so overinflated; it will collapse at some point very shortly. Things are getting much more aggressive economically, and these just little things. They're just, as Yul said, just one extra thing that may be the tipping point. And I don't know. It is, if you follow this stuff, it's terrifying to a degree. So maybe we should play more games and forget.
Tricky, we just went through a recession, or a few years ago, just got out of a recession, right?
Right.
I've heard talk that we're probably heading back towards another one.
Well, see, that's okay. I'm going to say this because this is going to be very political, and then we have to end this conversation because I feel like we could go on for another half an hour, 45 minutes with this, and I really don't want to do that.
All right.
No matter where you stand politically, whether you are a Republican, you are a Democrat, or you are libertarian, no party anti-government, whatever it is, you have to understand each side has good intentions behind what they say. But the problem is the other side is arguing their point, and they have good points as well. Case in point, one of the biggest talks in the United States right now is raising the minimum wage. That's a great idea.
It is.
Let's make everybody earn more money. Great idea.
But you have to raise it across the board.
The flip side of that article, or that conversation, is now, Yield, you are a mom and pop pizzeria. You employ 5 people, all making minimum wage.
Now you're probably only going to do 2. If you don't close shop.
Right. So now you have to raise everybody up to minimum wage. Yeah. So now your 5 employees, all their salaries now are double. So now what you have to do in retro to fix that is either cut everybody's hours, which means you're working more, lay off 3 of your employees so only 2 remain, raise your pizza slices up or your pizza prices all up.
Which that will happen.
Right. So now let's talk about each of these individually. If you have to lay off, cut everybody's hours, so now the minimum wage doesn't matter anymore because they're still making the same amount of money because you can't have them work because you can't afford to pay them.
Yeah.
You have to lay off 3 people and only keep 2, so now your service sucks. So now the 2 people that are still working there are now working overtime and not making as much money because the minimum wage doesn't apply to them anymore because now you can only keep them at 40 hours. Your service is now sucking, so which means now you're losing customers. Or, let's say you keep all 5 employees, but you raise the pizza prices. Now, 50% of your people may or may not come to your shop anymore because that $12 pie that they were buying is now an $18 pie. And why are they going to do that? Because they're going to go to Pizza Hut or Domino's or Papa John's where those corporations could pay, their employees.
Could take that hit.
Right. And you're getting a letter, well, I'm in New York, so I'm a pizza snob. You're getting a lesser quality pizza because it's cheaper.
Well, yeah.
So now your mom and pop shop closes.
Yeah.
So now instead of 5 people being out of work or 3 people being out of work, everybody's out of work.
Yeah.
Well,
see, that's just how it is. Yeah. It's terrifying.
See, I had that conversation with a guy at work a couple years ago before he retired. He was like, "Oh, raising minimum wage is a great idea," and I'm like, "Yes, it is, and no, it's not." And he didn't understand, and I said, "Well, listen." I'm like, take what we're making now, and we don't make a bad wage. And I said, if you raise them up to minimum wage, now we're only making like a couple of dollars, $3 more than what minimum wage would be making. So, do you think our company is going to raise then our wage to compensate that? He's like,
No.
And I'm like, exactly. So that's problem number 1. Problem number 2 is everybody else in the industry is going to have to pay their minimum wage people more money. Now, everybody's making more money, and I'm using air quotes here. So that means your gas is going to go up. Your food's going to go up. Everything's going to go up because 1, I have to pay people more money, and 2, everybody's making more money so they can pay for it. So yeah. It's a vicious cycle, and it's not something that I'm totally against, but you just can't go and jack it up to the $15 an hour everybody wants.
Right.
Because you'll collapse everything.
Because the point is as I said this, and I'm going to end this, I promise you. Everybody making more money, raising the minimum wage, it's a great idea.
You kill middle class.
The problem is the flip side of doing that. Because no matter what, was it Newton says, for every action, there's an equal and opposite reaction. Give everybody free healthcare. Give everybody a minimum wage. Let gun owners own their guns. Whatever you want to do. But no matter what you are for, and this is Republican, Democrat, Libertarian, or whatever political party or no political party you believe in, no matter what good you want to do, nobody ever talks about the opposite side of it. And if they do, people are, names I'm not going to mention here. Listen, whether you're for Trump, you're not Trump, the bottom line is tariffs from China. Yes, it was brought on by Trump, but it's not a new idea. But everybody blames Trump for the fact that they want. And again, I'm not defending him. I'm just saying Trump introducing this is getting more of a headline to what the tariffs are. If it was Obama, if it was Bill Clinton, if it was Jimmy Carter, Ronald Reagan, George Bush, either one of them, it would not have as much news. But because Trump's name is attached to this, it's scaring everybody. Tariffs are not a new idea. Taxes are not a new idea. The problem, as I said earlier in the show, is the three of us don't have a problem with taxes. It's that we don't feel the government would use those taxes appropriately. And that's the bottom line.
Well said.
So whether... I'm sorry. I cut you off.
No, just well said. Yes.
Oh. So, again, yeah, we talked a little politics in this, and yeah, we did cross that line that I put in place. But the point is, you cannot be scared of these conversations. Like, taxes are inevitable. You're going to pay taxes no matter what country you live in, no matter where you live, no matter what you do. Taxes are a part of life. Just get used to it. Sometimes they're going to go up. Sometimes they're going to go down. Sometimes you're going to make more money. Sometimes you're going to make less money. But don't be scared of conversations. When it comes to conversations like this, do your research. Find out what's going on. And before you have a conversation with somebody, know what the hell you're talking about.
That's right.
And that's part of the reason why we did this and why I broke my rule today is because this is not about Trump. This is about the scare tactic of somebody going, Trump is putting a 25% tariff on video games. That's not what he's doing. He's putting a 25% tariff from China, which affects everything. But as gamers, we only care about our video games.
That's right. And whatever you do, listeners, make sure, be prepared for the worst. Buy some land in Canada. That's where we're all going to end up. That's where we all have to end up. They're going to save us all.
Hey, Canada is the home of hockey. I'll gladly go there.
Yeah, we're all going there eventually.
All right. So with that being said, send all your hate mail to trophyhorse@provygamer.com.
Thank you for listening to the political cast.
Yeah, you know I hate to do that.
I know.
I want to do a political podcast, but
I think we did a fairly good job of keeping it. We did kind of wander, but we did a really good job. We didn't bash anything. We kept it to the topic point.
Yes.
Yeah. So send all your hate mail to trophyhorse@provygamer.com. All right, let's close out the show.
Let's clean this shit up.
ProvenGame.com is looking for some writers, podcasts, videos, news reports, and generalized help on the site. If you're supplying, go to ProvenGame.com, click on the help WhatsApp, and fill out the application. I'll get back to you as soon as possible. While you're there, be sure to check out all the articles and all the videos. Speaking of videos, they can be found on YouTube by doing a search for Official Proven Gamer. You can also catch me streaming at twitch.tv/Proven Gamer. At random times, you can also catch Smoke streaming. If you want to get a hold of us, there's several ways to get a hold of us. The first one is the phone number. Yield, what's the phone number?
330-PROVEN-9. 330-776-8369.
Did I do that fast enough?
You're doing a pretty good job.
I really just realized how fast I was going.
It was
stopped. I was like, holy crap! I did that really fast.
It's all those
Twitter.
It's all those quick platinums you're doing. See, you're just knocking it out.
Yeah, it's rubbing it off. Twitter. You can contact the site at Proven Gamer. Contact the show at Trophy Yours. Contact me at Tricky Mick. Contact Yield. I yield to no one. CJ, you can't contact on Twitter unless you go to Push to Plat.
Oh yeah, you can do that one. Yep, that's cool. Push to Plat. Yeah.
Alex is Saunders Rex, and Steven is Batchild27. We gotta get Steven back on the show.
Is he even alive?
He is alive. The problem is that we record at a time when he put his kid to bed.
I know the reason.
Well, I'm telling the listeners because I've got a couple listeners going, "Hey, where's Steven? Hey, where's Sid? Hey, where's Troy?" I'm like, Troy hasn't been on an episode in a year.
The Troy Memorial Fund.
Well, Steven's getting to that point where it's been a year for him. Email, trophyhorse at provengamer.com. That's where you send all your hate mail. You also send your hate mail to I yield to no one at provengamer.com.
He won't check it, but yeah, you can send it there.
He doesn't know that it goes straight to his Gmail.
And that's all right. He doesn't check that either.
He doesn't. Unless you hear the click during the show, that's when he's checking all his emails.
Well, which is what I'm doing right now.
Yes, I hear the click.
I know.
Other podcasts. Listen to this one. Great. Appreciate it. Go listen to our other podcasts. Nintendo Dual Screens, Game Stuff. Why is that still in the agenda, Yield?
What? Let me go back to the agenda. What's still in the pod?
What Daryl put in.
What did Daryl
also,
what did Daryl put? Oh, probably because nobody has gone in here and deleted it like this.
No, I'm talking about the one next to Game Stuff.
I haven't heard that podcast that other one.
Because no one's done this.
PG Spoilers, which is Daryl's show. All the podcasts can be found on Apple Podcasts, follow me, iTunes, Stitcher, your various podcast applications on your smart devices, Google Play, tune in, and you can listen to Trophy Horrors and Trophy Horrors and Nintendo Dual Screens on iHeartRadio and Spotify. Also being said, if you're hearing this show, please understand there's a problem with the RSS feed from the site. There is a fix in the works, but it takes I heard a month and a half for it to totally resync and be back in play. So if you're not getting the show on iTunes or Stitcher or Google Play, know that you can get it from the site, and I will be posting this every chance I get in the Trophy Wars Facebook group. Mm-hmm. I'm trying to fix it. It's an immense amount of code. And the problem is that every time I submit the code, it takes anywhere from 1 to 3 days for it to accept the code and know if I'm right. So it could take up to a month and a half to fix this. With that being said, PlayStation 4 communities. There's one for the site, Perfect Gamer. There's one for the show called T-Dubs Brothel because Shuhei won't listen to horrors on the network. Damn him. And Yield's group, which is the Platinum Guild, which Yield, I'm going to save you the time and not post any of my Platinums in there because you're probably going to have 30 to announce by the time
At least.
Well, that's all right. CJ and everybody else has got a whole bunch that I need to... When are you editing? Side note?
Yes.
No, I said, I know you're editing, but when are you editing?
I don't know.
Oh, okay. Because I have to record my shout-outs and send them to you because it's the 1st of July when the show comes out.
Get them to me before Tuesday night.
You will have them by Tuesday night. I was running you'd have them tonight, but I was running all day and I didn't get it done.
All right, my dinner's waiting for me.
Your dinner's waiting. So can I stall this out a little longer?
Sponsors, Humble Bundle, you know about that. Amazon, you know that. Patreon, you know about that. But please go to Patreon. Extra Life, big fans. I have my Extra Life shirt on right now.
I see that.
All that being said, shout-outs. Yield.
So I will give a shout-out to CJ for filling in this week. A shout-out to Tricky for recording. A shout-out to you, the pimps and the madams of the whoredom. Thank you for downloading, listening, doing everything that you do for Proven Gamer and Trophy Horrors. A shout-out to Zach and the Bombfest group. I just saw on Facebook that until July 9th, you can get Bombfest off. You can get Bombfest for 50% off. So if you haven't bought it, go buy it. I'm sure there's some more out there, but I don't have them in my head right now. And stay tuned to the end of the show because the Platinum Guilds are getting all their shout-outs this episode, even though I'm going to record it tomorrow. And Tricky will patch it in for Wednesday's release. And now
CJ, your shout-out.
Now I really messed everything up because now Tricky's like, oh, more to take out.
Yeah, okay, cool. I'd like to thank Tricky, yourself there, and Yield for today. It's always fun to come on. I really enjoy it. So thank you. It's great to talk games and politics and whatever else that comes up as well. I'd like to thank my wonderful partner who's actually gone away for 2 weeks for work and not required me to come even though I'm on holiday so I can stay home and play Final Fantasy XIV. Thank you so much. I only get 2 weeks, so that's it. That's going to be fantastic. Everyone in the Platinum Guild, so Murdered Out, Teresa, whoever else is playing, I know you guys are going absolutely crazy in there, so it's great to see, and I'm getting tons of suggestions for games. I'm looking forward to when Yield tries to read all those Japanese titles in there as well next week.
I will butcher the holy heck out of them.
I know you will. Yeah. And then just to anyone in general, if you want to listen to another podcast during the week, come and check us out at our Push to Plat. We're a little bit different than this, whatever else. So we're still getting there and learning. But this week we're talking retro games. Apparently, I don't know anything about retro games, so it's going to be fascinating. If that interests you, come and join us. Cool. Thank you.
My shout outs, CJ, shout out to you. Yield, shout out to you. Alex, twerp you for not showing up. Steven, twerp you, but shout out to you because, family. Shout out to Sweet Mama D, who stood behind me a minute ago, said, get your ass to dinner. But she didn't say ass. She censored herself. She said butt. Shout out to the goddess who is mad at me because I'm still recording and not eating. Shout out to the listeners. Shout out to everybody. If there's nothing else, until next week, happy trophy hunting.
Later.
Save your last words. Save your last words. Then don't be there. Save your last words. Then don't be there. Save your last words. Then don't be there. Save your last words. Then don't be there.
The theme song is Venus by the band Even off their album Zenith. Permission granted by the band and 12 Stone Records. You can find them on Facebook by going to www.facebook.com/evenphilippines.
Hey everybody, this is the Guild Plats for April, 1st of April to the 1st of July. It's the halfway point of 2019, and let's just jump into it. So Homer Gets Stuffed had Telltale, Batman. Murdered Out 615X had Conan Exiles, Super Weekend Mode twice. Daggerhood, Full Throttle, Access Denied, Jolt, Iron Snout 3 times, More Rat Spam 3 times, Bird Game Plus, Tower of Dragon Asia, My Big Sister twice, Devious Dungeon 2, Warlock's Tower twice, Siberian the Time Traveling Warrior, and Attack of the Toy Tanks. Teresa had Super Weekend Mode 5 times, Senran Kaguru, Burst RE Newall, Zerotopian Invasion. No, Zerotopian. No, not Topian. I had it right the first time. Zerotopian Invasion 4 times. Conan Exiles. Tetros Escapes twice. Mega Gal twice. Full Blast. Iron Snout. Heroes Trails. Jack and Jill. Bird Game Plus twice. Tower of Dragon Asia. Access Denied 3 times. Devious Dungeon 2 3 times. Energy Cycle twice. Energy Balance twice. Energy Cycle Edge 5 times. Warlock Tower 4. Refunked, Anthem, Bouncing Bullets, Crossovers, Word Wheel, Planet Rix 13 twice, Stormboy, Siberian, the Time Traveling Warrior 3 times, Drowning, I Am the Hero 4 times, Super Destroy Not DX Intruders Edition, Attack of the Toy Tanks 3 times, AER Memories of Old, Luna, and My Big Sister 3 times. Affectious Donk, Miracle Girls Festival, Metagal twice, Iron Snout twice, The Gardens Beneath, Make Me Great 18 times, Energy Cycle, Mix-Ups twice, Devious Dungeons 2, Dirty Warlock, Pixel Arc, Refunked, Bouncing Bullets, Luna, What Is This, Twice, and Attack of the Tanks. The Brain 76, 100% of What Remains of Edith Finch, and Tricky Mick rounded it out with Days Gone. Of course, as he said earlier in the show, he's got a whole bunch more. He just hasn't posted them yet. So, that'll do it for the Guild Plats for the start of April to the start of July. And I will see you guys at the 3/4 mark. Later.